So you're not your fault. You were born where you were born. You were born to the people to whom you were born. You were born in a very specific microculture, the culture of your family of origin, which, to varying degrees, may or may not have been completely screwed up. You could have been born to parents who are crackhead, dope dealer, druggie, criminals. And that type of lifestyle would have seemed more normal to you. You could have been born in a completely war-torn, impoverished situation. And if you're born into a war-torn situation where it's eye for an eye and kill or be killed, that type of lifestyle would have seemed totally normal to you. That would have been the culture into which you were born. Can you blame the person who goes off the edge and starts loses it and starts killing people? Can you blame that person when you find out that for the first 14, 16 years of their life, they were beaten most days of the week by their family? And then they were abused at school, picked on, bullied, and finally they just lost it. Right? When you hear that, it's like, oh, you gain a little bit of compassion and understanding into that person and what drove them to do something horrendous. Or can you blame somebody, right, who's completely impoverished situation and grew up without ethical guidelines, and the conditioning they received was not skillful conditioning? They didn't have somebody at home to show them, hey, do your homework, go to school, right? Don't steal. They had the exact opposite. Somebody teaching them the exact opposite. So that person's not their own fault, right? They are conditioned, and they're going to be held accountable for their actions. So you've been programmed. You've been programmed by your family, the culture of your family, and you've been programmed by your larger culture. And so you have certain patterns of behavior that run in certain situations. Most people are prisoners. They're prisoners to their conditioning. They're not free. True freedom is being able to choose. If you have choice, you're free. When you don't have choice, you're a slave. You're a prisoner. You have to do what you're told to do. And most of us are just running the programs of our conditioning. Something happens, we do it. A certain situation arises, we get angry. Another situation arises, we get happy. And we're just like robots. This makes me happy, this makes me unhappy. As opposed to realizing you have free will to choose and do whatever you want to do. How many people are completely lost? Raise your hand. It just sounds like, I don't know, Dale Carnegie, is that his name? Win friends and influence people, motivational speaker-esque. Speaker-ese, motivational speaker-ese. Does this make any sense? So where does true freedom come? We'll get back around to what ethics is and morals, but what I'm pointing out here is ethics and morals are culturally, the first thing we're going to look at is, are they culturally relative? Cultural relativism. So, what you believe comes from where you came from. Anybody have that experience like, oh my God, that's just like how my dad would react. Can't believe I'm getting frustrated that my wife's bringing too much luggage. That's exactly what my dad would do. Like, I don't care. We got a huge truck. Throw it in the back. Who cares how many suitcases you bring? Bring it all. We might need it. That's what bellhops are for. We'll pay $5 when we get to the hotel. No big deal. When I was young, I'd get frustrated. My wife would bring too much luggage. And then I realized, that's just like my dad. Do I really want to get frustrated over her bringing too much luggage? Who cares? Makes you happy, bring it all. Why does my wife want to bring all that luggage? Her mom brought a bunch of luggage every time she traveled. Robots. Programmed. No freedom. Just doing what we're conditioned to do. So you're not your fault. That's the first thing. Relieved of guilt. You're not your fault. And you're going to be held accountable for your actions. So you better start making skillful choices. You will live and die, succeed and fail, end up in jail, or end up living on the bluffs in a big house based upon the choices you make. You will be held accountable for your actions. You'll be rewarded and not rewarded and punished for the choices you make. So you're not your fault, and you'll be held accountable for your actions. There's a great poem that I really like, and I wrote it. The moonlight was still there on the dashboard, though the driver's side window was broken, and my wife's purse was gone. The thief, what else did he take? Perhaps the childhood of someone who wasn't raised well, a young man without the good fortune to receive guidance, or to be helped with his homework, or to be directed towards school. Perhaps the thief took the love, too, that this young man was meant to receive. I think of Hank and Jody with a grandchild who has leukemia. We drive home with the heat on. The air at night in winter is cold. What is a purse? What is a broken window when compared to these things? Who is the literal thief in this poem?
Probably the kid's parents who robbed him of everything he had.
Yeah, the literal thief is the kid, right? He broke into the car. The figurative thief, the larger thief, is like, whoa, somebody stole from that kid, right? So he's not his own fault. Because if he'd been raised right, chances are he wouldn't be a bad apple. Bad apples happen because they drop in bad places and then rot. Right? I don't know if people are just born bad. Certainly there are different temperaments, but I think given the right conditioning, everybody could be wonderful. How could they not be if you're brought up and raised well? So that's really a powerful insight. And we're talking about compassion here. Having compassion for other people. So anytime from this point forward, when you hear about somebody who's the enemy, who is wrong, who's the criminal, you could think about the true thief. Right? Isn't that a pretty amazing perspective? How many people that's like, whoa, that's the first time I've sort of grokked my head around that one. Anybody? All right, so talking about ethics. And the first thing that we might jot down if we were writing notes is that ethics are culturally relative. And we'll put a question mark after that. Are they culturally relative? A lot of them are. Right? And also, I put down, you are not your fault, and you will be held accountable for your actions. I think I need smaller font. That's really small. You guys can read it. So culturally relative, a lot. A lot of ethics. It's culturally relative. They're rules defined by culture. A question which I'll put up is, are there universal ethics, right? Beyond culture. That we're just born into the human condition regardless of what culture you're in. Just part of being human. Are there universal ethics? So why should we care? It's in your own personal interest to have great ethical behavior. So this is a conversation. I'm not following a PowerPoint slide. I'm not just giving you definitions. We're like exploring a concept. We're exploring the concept of ethical behavior. It's a little bit circuitous. And, so far we kind of looked a little bit like a cultural relativism, and that a lot of rules, ethical, how society, a culture defines ethical behavior, that's imposed from a culture. So you might go to a culture and see them doing something. Man, they go to war with their enemies, the tribe on the other side of the island, and when they kill one of their enemies, they bring that person home and they eat them. Cannibalism. That's so wrong. Not to their culture. To their culture, that's a barbecue. Right? Yeah, flesh is flesh. The dude's dead. Let's eat him. Cannibalism could even be culturally acceptable and has been in the history of humanity. Right? Rules, cultural relativism. Kind of wacky. Some wacky examples here. But, outlandish examples. But also examples straight from human experience. So one question we still have to answer is whether or not there's universal ethics. Just innate to being human. But the first question I want to look at is why care about ethics? And I am positing that it's in your own personal interest to have great ethical behavior. Why?
Because it can benefit you.
How?
Because if you're reasonable to other people, they can return the favor. So if you help other people, they can help you too.
Yeah, man, everybody needs friends. And nobody's friends with an asshole. Right? Like if you keep screwing people over and treating people poorly, right? Nobody's going to want to be your friend. And that actually strikes right at the heart of the matter. So there was a study done, and the outcome of that study was pro-social. The study was called, "If you don't think money can buy you happiness, you don't know where to shop." That was the study. If you don't think money can buy you happiness, you don't know where to shop. And what they found is that when we engage in pro-social behavior, that equates to happiness for humans. Pro-social. We are social creatures. We're not sharks. Maybe they, just stereotype of sharks, right? Like, they just practice law on their own. They just, sharks in the ocean, that's what I'm talking about. They just live on their own. They're not, I don't know what you call them, not pack animals, but individuals, right? Bees are very pro-social and very communal. Snakes have some pro-social. Rattlesnakes will huddle together, but mostly they kind of live on their own, right? They have the stereotype. I'm no animal expert, but humans I know are pack animals. And I do know this about human nature. Like, you could take things down to the basic levels. And so human nature, when you align with your human nature, it feels good. Your human nature is to eat. Eating is a wonderful pleasure. Nature wants you to eat, right? And so it makes it pleasurable. Oh, this feels good. Oh, this is delicious. I love ice cream. Wonderful. I love spaghetti and meatballs. Wonderful. Pleasurable. When you align with your nature, it's pleasurable. That's the design. When you have sex, oh, this is wonderful. Peak human experience. Amazing. Never felt anything quite so good. It's a crazy act if you step outside and look at it, right?
You're committing your evolutionist.
Right? But it's amazingly pleasurable because nature wants you to procreate. You're aligning with your nature. That's one of your deepest programmings, is to survive and procreate. Like if there's two primary modules that are running in your head, it's survive and procreate. And if you look at all marketing that's done well, it all drives back to speaking to your primal instincts, which is belong, you're a social creature, survive, which safety, food, shelter, procreate, right? But when you align with your nature, it feels good. When you do things which are pro-social, because you're a social creature, it feels good. When they gave students in that study, if you don't know where to, if you don't think money can buy happiness, you don't know where to shop. They gave students $20. They measured their happiness before they gave them the money. Psychologists have a way to do that with tests. And then they said, here's 20 bucks. And for half the students, they said, go buy yourself something special. And then come back and we're going to measure your happiness again. And for the other half of the students, they said, go buy somebody else something. And then come back and we'll measure your happiness again. For the students who bought something for themselves, their happiness didn't change. And for the students who bought something for other people, their happiness went up. When you align with your nature, it makes you happy. So that's one of the main reasons. You can say, hey, I want to have friends. And friends are going to help you out in life. And being a cool person, right? You know, it's not only what you know, it's who you know. And I need to talk to a lawyer. Cool, my buddy John's a lawyer. I'll call him up. Hey, what's going on, John? Can we get a beer? I got some questions. Cool. Or, you know, and then the other side of the coin of why would you care about ethics is it keeps you out of jail. Right? So you want to be ethical so you don't end up in jail. That does not sound like a fun place. You lose a lot of freedom, physical freedom, and then you're also surrounded by a lot of pretty scary individuals. So who wants to go to jail? So it's in your own behavior, your own interest to practice ethical behavior. So what are ethics along those lines? Ethics are, it's a continuum. Ethics are a continuum. And that continuum runs from self-focus to other focus. So one end of the continuum, we have Hitler, we have Stalin, we have Helter Skelter. What was that guy's name? Charles Manson?
Yeah.
Right? We have people who are only thinking of themselves. Sociopaths. Antisocial personality disorder. They'll kill you for your watch. I like your watch. Thank you. I take it. I want your money because I want to go buy drugs. I'm not thinking about you. I'll kill you. I'll take your money and get my drugs. And I'm only thinking about me. So that's one end of the ethical spectrum. The other end of the ethical spectrum is other focus. Gandhi, Martin Luther King, not many examples. Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad. I will die for others. I'm not even thinking of myself. I'm just thinking of others. I need to share this message. I don't care if you kill me. I need to get this out there. I'm trying to help society, help people. Completely pro-social, right? So that's one way to think about ethics. And there's a guy, Kohlberg, and his theory of moral development is like, so morals, ethics, I kind of just think of those words interchangeably, right? But Kohlberg's theory of moral development basically says that. Self-focus to other focus. I have it here somewhere. Or not. Or I'm just flying past it. Here, I do have the internet. Stages of moral development. 6 stages of moral development grouped in 3 levels: pre-conventional morality, conventional morality, and post-conventional. And if you look at these, not very big. See, you're only thinking of yourself down here at the lowest level. Blind egoism. social relationships perspective, you're thinking more of the communal, the whole, right? And, you know, the farther along you go, his is a little bit, there's more to it, but that's the basic idea. Kohlberg's theory of moral development. So we've established a little bit of a definition for ethics. Self-focus to other focus. We've established why you should care about ethics. It'll make you happier and lead to greater life satisfaction. Is it challenging? Who's had an ethical dilemma? Hello? Who has not had an ethical dilemma in their life? You've never had an ethical dilemma in your life? Found money.
I found a wallet.
And I know you probably thought, if I'd lost my wallet, what would I want? I'd want to be taught a lesson. What'd you do with the found wallet?
I looked at their ID on the person, gave it back to them.
No question. It wasn't even like, whoa, there's a lot of money here. Maybe I should keep this. That's cool. You had good conditioning. Did you, or were your parents thieves? Are they good people?
They can be good people.
I found diamond earrings at the swim club. Somebody taking them off, and, you know, those didn't look like fake diamond earrings. Turn them in at the front desk. Found a wallet over at Clinton and Palm. First I found $40 just blown along the street. Sweet. And then I returned from my walk and I found the wallet with like $200 in it. And I was like, well, I bet you that $40 came from that wallet. Took it back to the guy's house, knocked on his door. Hey, I found your wallet. He opened it and looked, where's the rest of my money? Probably out of Palm and Clinton, dude. If I was going to keep your money, I'd keep all of it. I want to bring you some of it. Go out of my way to bring you some of the money. Good luck. You're welcome. Right? I have one rule, so just a takeaway. I was not a good roommate when I was in college. I was the guy who'd drink other people's beer, and then, you know, they'd be like, man, every week I buy a six-pack, and like, you know, 3 days later, there's like 2 beers left, and you know, my response would be like, hey, man, relax, it all evens out. You know, I buy beer sometimes, you buy beer, drink mine, I don't care. But you don't buy beer ever. Yeah, I haven't gotten around to it, but if I did, you know, don't drink my beer. All right, geez, okay, gosh, man, go have a beer. You're kind of getting stressed out. You know, like shame them a little bit because I'm taking their beers. And then I realized, well, that's not right. That's somebody else's stuff. I can't just take other people's stuff. And so there's this rule that I heard of in Buddhism. Don't take that which isn't freely given. I like that. And so I started practicing that. If something's not freely given, I'm not going to take it. So I had another roommate, and I ran out of laundry detergent. I was just about to scoop in some of my roommate's laundry detergent into my laundry. I thought, wait, this isn't mine. I go to my roommate. I'm like, hey, I'm out of laundry detergent. You mind if I use a scoop or two of yours? Yeah, you don't even have to ask. Don't even worry about it. Are you kidding me? That's fine. It's just laundry detergent. All right, I just don't want to take your... I don't want to be that roommate drinking your beers every week. Learn my lesson, right? So don't take that which isn't freely given. Are these my diamond earrings? Nah, they're not my diamond earrings. Turn them in. Is this my wallet? No, it's not my wallet. Get it back to the dude. Don't take that. Did he give it to me? No. And then sometimes ethical dilemmas aren't always clear. Publishers send me textbooks. A lot of faculty sell their textbooks on Amazon, make a couple $100. Nice. Go out to dinner. A couple times. At a fancy restaurant. Cool, right? A couple of Benjamin Franklin's. Wow, that's good money. Other faculty says, publisher didn't give you those textbooks to sell. They aren't just giving you money. They gave them to you to look at. And if you sell them, that dilutes the marketplace. The publisher makes much less money, so they have to charge the students higher textbook prices. And so you shouldn't sell textbooks because it's just added expense for the students ultimately, right? So I thought, well, maybe I'll donate mine to the library. I walked over to the library. Here are all these textbooks, and I'm just going to give them to you guys. Thanks. You guys put them all out on the shelf? Some of them. Like which ones? Well, you know, if we don't have too many of one kind or another, we'll put them out. What do you do with the rest? We sell them on Amazon. Okay. Not always clear. They gave it to me, but, you know, didn't specify what I should do with it. So one rule you could use is what? What's the phrase? Don't take that which isn't freely given. And why might you want to use that rule in your life?
Piss off fewer people.
Piss off fewer people, right? Not only that, but garner the respect of your friends and the people around you. Garner the respect of your friends and the people around you. Man, that Todd guy, he's a straight up guy. I could trust him. Todd, I've been in Nigeria, and I actually have an uncle who's a Nigerian king, and we have $78 million. Can we use your bank account and we'll give you 15%? Sure, I'm trustworthy. But other people say, you know what, well, that's all fine and dandy, just perspective-wise. But one of the other perspectives, one perspective is the golden rule, do unto others as you want done unto yourself. Another perspective is law of the jungle, eat or be eaten. And at a certain point, you have to balance the communal with the individual. The communal, do unto others as you want done unto yourself. And the individual, law of the jungle, eat or be eaten. I am going to fight and I'm going to win. And it's a competitive world, and I'm going to take care of my family. And good luck to you. We're all trying to do the same, and I definitely kick in and help. But end of the day, I got to put effort out to take care of my family before I try taking care of the people down the street. And so at the simplest level, that could just be, I can't come mow your yard till I've mowed my yard. I can't come feed your family till I've fed my family. And at a higher level, it's like, I can't donate money to help that organization because I got to keep that money to help my family. And at a higher level, it's like, I am going to do everything I can to destroy that person's business so mine succeeds. And I know he's relying on it for his family, but it's the jungle. So you got to balance the two, right? Ethical behavior, communal, golden rule, do unto others as you want done unto yourself, and the law of the jungle, eat or be eaten. So where does the law of the jungle end? Should I bust people's windshields, steal their purses, buy a whole bunch of land, put in a golf course, and the people who don't agree to sell me their land, I'm going to put a huge fence around their property and then just plant trees on my side and completely seal them in and make their property suck. They no longer have a view of the ocean. They just see the big ass trees I planted and the big wall I built on my property, which completely surrounds their property. And if they don't like it, screw you, move. And I'm going to send them a bill for the fence. And if you didn't see that New York Times article, you can go check it out because I'm describing Donald Trump. And that's not taking sides, that's just facts. Sorry. But he's more, survival of the fittest. Law of the jungle. It's a competitive world. I'm going to work it. I'm going to fight. And is one more right or wrong? It's hard to say. From what perspective? What cultural perspective? It's relative. The Spartanians back in the day would say, go Trump. The Athenians, the Spartans would say, go Trump. The Athenians, those from Athens, which were more democratic, intellectual, would be more like the Spartans were the warring from my limited perspective of history. Right? Is this right?
Yeah. Athens was more.
And Athens was more like republic, democratic, intellectual, bunch of pansy professors. Right? And the Athenians would say, oh, you should be more, do unto others as you want done unto yourself. So it's not always clear. But what makes us happy? Law of the jungle, survival of the fittest, or communal? That one study showed the more communal stuff, doing things for others. But at a certain point, I'm doing stuff for my family, and it's coming at the expense of helping others, or even at the expense of like taking somebody else's business down, or running my business fiercely, right? So that makes me happy. Take care of my family. I'm sorry you got defeated. But at the end of the day, I'm happy. I took care of my family. So it's a bit of a thrash. There's some pretty strong forces on both sides pulling. How many people this is interesting to you? How many people it's helpful? Okay. So I want to give you takeaways, tools you could use to make better ethical decisions, because you will have ethical dilemmas in your life. And one of the ethical dilemmas, one of the tools is don't take that which isn't freely given. So you can just file that away in your head. And when you find something, or you have the opportunity to steal something, you can say, hey, has this been freely given? That's a tool. Don't take that which isn't freely given. I'll write it down. Another tool, postpone action. This is like one of the best tools in the world. You want to steal that cool blazer, that cashmere blazer from Macy's that's $275? It'll be there next week. You can steal it next week. Go home, think about it. Right? Or even postponing actions, super useful. You're going to send an email, positive or negative, write it. Wait. Send it tomorrow. Maybe you'll get some inspiration tonight. You'll change it a little bit in the morning. Send the email first to a friend. What do you think about this email? Can I make it better in any way? Right? And I'm not talking even about a bad email. It's just like, hey, it's a business email. I'm trying to convince somebody to do something. Do you like this? So your monitor should be sideways right now for all those who came in late. And sideways so you aren't using your computer. And we'll just wait. I'll just continue waving my hand until you're done. And yours doesn't look sideways. Every computer should be sideways. I said it's going to be a quick talk, but it's been kind of long. Turn your sideways. Yeah. Turn your monitor sideways. Not your chair. There you go. Cool. So postponing action, having patience. And talk to others. Get input. Multiple minds are better than one. Another great principle in life. Multiple minds are better than one. Hey, what do you think I should do about the textbooks? Should I sell them or should I just give them to the library? Who then sells them? Ask people their perspectives. I'm just trying to think of other examples, like taxes. People sometimes are like, is this a tax write-off or not? What should I do? Talk to people about it. Talk to your accountant about it. Talk to your family about it. You could also, what if everyone knew? You could run that scenario. What if everyone knew I did this? What if this was on the 6 o'clock news? Would I be totally embarrassed? Would I be ashamed of myself for my actions? Would my family no longer be proud of me, or at least not be proud of me for what I've done for this one thing? So that's a good test to see if what you're going to do is a good thing to do or not to do. Because we all have that awareness in ourselves, right? If we're about to do something that isn't so straightforward. That's kind of human nature. That's human nature. We learn how to operate within society and follow certain rules, get along with others, be pro-social. So don't take that which isn't freely given. Postpone action. Talk to others. What if everyone knew on the news? I guess just golden rule, right? Which switch roles, right? Do unto others as you want done unto yourself. What if I was the shop owner? I don't know why I keep using shoplifting. What if it was my wallet? What if it was my diamond earrings? That's why that joke is funny. What would I want done if I lost my wallet? I want to be taught a lesson, right? No, you'd want your wallet returned to you. Oh, thank you for bringing my wallet back. So nice of you. Oh, thank you for coming over and helping me put up my fence. So nice of you. I saw a dude. He's like a Mormon. I thought he was crazy. All right, because family friend, and I was building a fence in my backyard. He said, let me come over and help you, Todd. He came over and worked all day. It's a pleasure to help you, Todd. Nice to be with you. And like we weren't even that close. He was just doing his Mormon community service or whatever. Or for like 2 years, he just has to help people. You're Mormon. You're laughing. You've done it. But then I saw this guy like a week ago. I'm like, what's up, man? This guy came over and worked like all day with me building a fence. Man, it's so good to see you. I haven't seen you in like 15 years. And it's like I felt such generous spirit towards him. I was like, oh, I should have bought him dinner. Because I ran into him at that Cafe Rio, that new place, you know. I was like, whoa, that really stuck. Him just coming over and helping me for a day. All right? I really have kind, positive regard towards him, and I think a lot of him. I don't know what the point of that story was. What was the point of that story? Huh? Oh, golden rule, switch roles, right? What would you want done? So now when people ask you, hey, do you understand ethics? I like to think about ethics in that framework of self-interest versus collective interest. How much are you focused only on the self? At the sick extreme, you're completely focused on the self without any insight into others at all. And you'll kill others and not think twice about it. Right? And at the other end of the extreme, you're so focused on others, you don't even think of yourself. Self to yourself, you don't matter to yourself anymore. You're like, let me just help others. And it's also interesting with ethics, we've got some research that shows, hey, when you align with your nature, it makes you feel good. Eating, sex, being pro-social makes you feel good because we're social creatures. And so that's a really strong argument for being communally oriented and doing pro-social behavior. And at the same time, there's the law of the jungle, survival of the fittest. And it is a competitive marketplace. So you have to balance those two things. And you don't want to go to jail. So following society's rules are good. We learned a little bit about compassion for yourself and others. That when people are not acting skillfully, it's probably because they did not receive the gift of skillful conditioning. When people are not acting skillfully, they didn't receive the gift of skillful conditioning. They were not trained or taught how to act skillfully. So acting unskillfully is all they know. So we could have compassion for them and hold them accountable. Right? Ultimately, they're not responsible for their actions. They're not their fault. Well, ultimately, they're not their fault, and they'll be held accountable for their actions. As is true for all of you until you get true freedom, which is to see your habitual actions, your instinctive reactions, and to choose otherwise. So, illustration. I came from a family where both my parents had to work really hard when I was a kid. So I was raised a latchkey kid by the TV, and my parents, did not have much time for me. So it's not my conditioning to spend time with my family. It's my conditioning to always be at work. And in some ways, I don't even know how to play with a kid because I didn't get that when I was a kid. I didn't get that conditioning. So I recognize that in myself, and I think, do I want that for my son to do what my conditioning is, to just always be absent working and then to not engage well when I'm with him? I don't want that. So I choose different, and that's freedom, right? To choose different than just my conditioning. And the last thing we saw are like some tools. Don't take that which isn't freely given. It's a good one. Like try that next time you want, like your roommate's soap. Your roommate will be like, whoa, are you kidding me? This guy's straight up asking me, and then your roommate will feel like, wow, he really respects my stuff. Or she does. Postpone the action, which is a good rule anywhere in life. Just take an extra day before sending that email and think it over. You know how many times I've sent an email? Not even a bad email like reprimanding or anything, but just like, I'm excited about something. Then I'm like, oh, I should have totally included this other thing. I forgot to tell them about that. It would have been so much better if that had been in the original email. So postponing action is a really great tool for making good ethical decisions. Talking to others. What if everyone knew? Not wanting to go to jail, right? So let's just follow society's laws. Not all laws are ethical. I'm sorry, Mr. Goldenstein, I need to put you on the train car. It's the law. Right? I might say, you know what? No, I'm going to smuggle the Jewish people out of Germany. Because I think that's ethical, and the law is not ethical to round them all up and put them in concentration camps. So, following laws can keep you out of trouble. And golden rules, switch roles. So the last question that we haven't answered is whether or not ethics can be universal. What do you guys think? Are there universal ethics that aren't just culturally relative? Are we born as humans with innate sense of what is right and wrong? Or some sense of right and wrong? How many people think, yeah, we're probably born with some sense of right and wrong? And people think, no, it's all probably cultural. I don't know if there's a way to find an absolute answer. I think we're probably born with some sense of right and wrong because we're pro-social. And so that's part of our nature. Just like certain foods are supposed to taste good to us. Like I really listen to my body when I eat something. Like I was just at my mother-in-law's. I hung the Christmas lights right before class for her outside her house. And then I grabbed a soda out of the fridge, which is like this German brew from Maine. And I drank like half of it. I'm like, this, there's a sweetness to it, a gingerness to it. And there's some other herby note in there that just is like some hippies threw in some patchouli or something into this. And I'm like, because it's like a hippie kind of ginger beer drink. I was like, this doesn't taste good. I'm going to stop drinking it because that is weird herb. I'm just going to listen to my body, right? My body's saying it doesn't taste good. Stop drinking it. I don't know if that makes sense. You had that experience? Like, this doesn't taste right to me. I'm not going to eat it. So the point of that story being, I don't know what the point was. What was the point? Oh, whether or not we're born with innate, some sense of universal ethics of right or wrong. And we have that pro-social nature. Right, we are social creatures, and when we align with our nature, that makes us feel good, And so there's we want to be with humans. Kids who are not with humans, do you know what happens to orphans, like in orphanages, who don't get enough human contact? Do you know what happens to them? You guys heard these studies? What happens? They die. Kids who don't get hugged, who don't get cuddled, who don't get tossed around in physical contact, nuzzled and kissed and goo 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 on their belly and all that stuff, they die. Because they had these orphanages in England and they just put all these kids in them and they, English is more austere and they're just like, be a good chap, stay in your room, we'll see you in the morning. Shut the door, right? Here's your porridge. No, we don't show affection. Kids would just die. Kind of a cultural stereotype, but there's truth to it.
There's also, I don't know if you're in Romania like that, there's babies and like bars between like clips. So they see like other babies, and they grew up
They're all sociopaths. They became snipers in some war. I love killing people. I just don't feel connected to them. It is my passion. So you could take that out of context. And you're like, wow, who's that crazy city college professor? Yeah, so when you align with your nature, so I think there's some universal ethics. So there's a funny video that speaks to this, moral behavior in animals, Franz de Waal. So we're going to stop our talk, or I'll pause it right now because I can't show you this video. But if you're watching this online, you could go watch that video there. Creatures, cool to see all that in other creatures. Okay, anybody have any comments or questions? So hopefully you leave this talk with more compassion for other people. They're not their fault, and they'll be held accountable for their actions, right? But they're just products of their own condition, of the conditioning in which they were raised, which may not have been that skillful. You know, so when somebody's acting unskillfully, yeah, sometimes you gotta hold them accountable or stop them from hurting others. But at the same time, you could do that with compassion in your heart. And hopefully you also have some understanding of the definition of ethics. It's a continuum from narrow, isolated self-focus to other focus. And why might you want to be ethical? It ultimately is good to think about ethics and make good ethical decisions, or understand the decision you're making and the consequences. And pro-social decisions will align with our nature, and that, you know, our nature is social creatures, and that makes us happy. At the same time, it's a competitive world, law of the jungle, and we have to compete. So you work hard and do what you can, but then, you know, you do that with awareness, and then do what you can to help others. And there's like a sense of empowering others in that too. Not just given to them, but like, it's a tough world, toughen up, come on, do the work. Right? Like, empower people to get out there and fight for themselves too, but in an ethical way. I don't know if that makes sense. It's always a little bit of a mix between communal and self, right? So the collective interest and the individual interest, the pro-social, thinking of others, and law of the jungle, eat or be eaten. And I gave you some tools for making good ethical decisions. Don't take that which isn't freely given. It's a pretty good one. I'll keep you out of a lot of trouble. And postponing actions to reflect on them, talking to other people. Law of the jungle, switch and roll, or not law of the jungle, but golden rule, switch and roles. And how would I want to be treated if I was in another situation? Those are all good ones. So being able to make good ethical decisions will keep you out of trouble, keep you out of jail, help you have more friends, and help you be happier, ultimately. And that doesn't mean that you can't participate in the competitive arena and be fierce and have a fun time doing it. And then, you know, take your winnings and help others. So, anybody have any other questions? How many people got something valuable out of this? Cool. Because you will come into ethical dilemmas in your life. And if you start paying attention to them, they come pretty regularly. And a lot of times you just answer them instinctively, which may be skillfully or not skillfully based upon your conditioning. But you will come into ethical dilemmas, and it'll help you navigate those in a way that will make your life better if you're aware of some of these tools. Blah, 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 blah. All right, cool. So we have the rest of the class to work on whatever you'd like. And next week we will talk about e-waste.